Taking it to the center, and you're going to fold one side down, bring it over. These I actually like to do ahead of time. So I'll have a pile of them made so that when I'm ready to do the binding, when I have a pile of, what do you call it? Masks to make, I can just grab the binding and I'm ready to go. So we will make sure you're supplied with plenty of stuff, and then whenever you feel like it, just go ahead and make a bunch up for yourself, so it makes it that much easier to do the things. So here's your binding. It's half and half, and you should be, if you've probably used it before, so you're familiar. So we're really just making it by hand. Now we fold it down into the center. And again, I'm going a little slower than I normally do. I'm usually rushing right through. So I hope this helps. Okay, so now we're going back to the sewing machine. Now, when I attach the binding, I always attach it to the front side, okay? So I'm gonna measure, and again, it's just an eyeball. It's about, I don't know, what is that? Maybe a ½ inch, a little more, depending, more or less. I'm gonna just cut. I'm gonna go to this side, same thing. Okay, so now see, you have extra for another mask later on. Okay, now I'm going to show you the way I did it in the beginning, and then I'm going to show you on the other side how I do it now, just to show you how once you get comfortable with how you make this, it's like driving. You don't even think about it. You just zip right through them all, and you really don't need to pin anything except for when you're pinning the pleats. That's the only time you need to pin. So when I first started out, I want you to see, you want to get this over as far as you can so that it's well caught under the sewing machine. And I used to pin it. So feel comfortable to do that until you get comfortable with it. These are typically pretty stretchy. So I do the same thing on this side. Bring it under and pin all the way through. Get that in there. Sorry. You see all the little dings in my table? That's from all the pinning. Okay, so I'm going to bring this in. Now, I was on baste, and I've done this before. I continued with basting, stitch, and I forget. So when you're ready to do this stitching, this is seriously permanent, so you want to go back to your regular stitching, and you will be locking up the front and the back end of your stitches, okay? So you're going to be doing your forward, backward. All right, so we're set to go. Got my needle down, or you'll see this crease from where you ironed, so you'll follow that more or less. You don't want to go farther that way, but if it goes this way, that's okay. So now we're set down. If you want to bring your needle down into it, you can. You're going to remove the pin, and we're going to go. Just make sure that this is folded the way it's supposed to. I can take the pin out. And I always hit that, I go back and forth before I actually get to the edge, just to make sure there isn't any hiccup or pulling. And now we're going to do the other one. This is where I want to show you how I do it. I'll keep this here. I don't pin any longer, so it's something to consider. So I set it up pretty centered. I curl it under, and I go right up. Okay, so again, another point to make sure you start your sewing machine, the needle up farther from the edge, because if you start right at the edge and it goes back and forth, sometimes it gets hooked up and it doesn't let you go forward with the bamboo for some reason. So I have found to start the needle a little ahead of time, a little in front of the edge. That way it doesn't happen. All right, I'm gonna go. I get a little farther up, and then I pick this up and I just pull it under. And there you go. So now we have our binding. It's ready to be fully closed in. Once I cut the threads. Again, the whole clean look, professional look of having all the threads cut off so that you don't have things hanging around. Okay, so now we're ready to actually attach the binding. You're going to pull that apart. This is where there's no pinning. It's going to take a little time to get your fingers used to how you do it. So I just kind of pull. What I also do is I don't pull just straight. Notice how it's thicker down at the bottom, because I want it to be thinner in here, because I don't want it to show on the edges from the front of the mask. So I'm kind of taking it to the diagonal, and then I fold where you see that fold that we did the iron, and then you fold over and you fold over. So now you're just going to hold it with your fingers, pop it into the sewing machine. Same thing again, make sure you have that needle up, you know, the opening above and over that little hump so it doesn't get hooked up. Here we go. We're almost there. Again, I'm taking it slow. When I do multiple, when I have multiples, I do it kind of like an assembly line. So I do each step, all of them together, so that I'd be looking at doing, they all finish more or less together. And it goes really pretty quickly. The more you do it, the faster this all goes. Again, I'm kind of taking my time and explaining. So here we go. All right, so now if you notice, I think I stopped that one a little too soon.